poem here it is, A Tiger in the Zoo by Leslie Norris. Leslie Norris was a British poet and writer. He was called a Welsh poet because he belonged to South Welsh of UK, of Britain, but he died in US. He had been widely acclaimed a writer who had been recognized all over the world for the quality of his poetry and his stories which he had been writing. Every poem or every story that he had written, it was significant as it was carrying a message. This poem, Tiger in the Zoo, is corresponding to the story of Nelson Mandela. It is corresponding to the lesson Nelson Mandela. Now you must be thinking how. You see that Nelson Mandela has talked about the freedom. Blacks in South Africa were devoid of freedom. They did not have freedom. As a result, Blacks, they had been through a harrowing time. They had been through a very difficult time as they suffered agony. They were agonized. Agony, they had suffered mentally and physically as well. They had been tortured. They had never been at peace. But as they got freedom, they were happy. So here, this poem has been included to make you understand the tiger. Tiger is the most powerful, the most fearful, the one of the most fierce animals of the jungle. Isn't it? That the very thought of tiger itself frightens you, haunts you. But that tiger also, when is put in the cage, putting a tiger in the cage is just like putting him in a jail. Why that cage is termed as jail? Can you make out?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Anmol. Why is the cage compared or termed as a jail, as a cell?
Ma'am, because in both we are not freedom. We have not freedom.
Yes, we have no freedom. There is no freedom to the tiger. Whereas the tiger is an animal that is used to living in his natural habitat, that is jungle. He is free to move around. But when he is put in the cage, then how his freedom is restricted. Do you think that the tiger would be happy in the cage or in the zoo?
No, ma'am.
No. You see that when you visit the zoo, you might have seen that how the environment is created for the tiger. A wide mass of land, a large mass of land is kept, and it is given the effect of a jungle for the tiger. But the tiger knows it's not the jungle. So you will never find the tiger happy. You will never find the tiger in the zoo as healthy as a tiger is healthy in the jungle. Because he gets full freedom, but in the zoo or in the cage, his freedom is curtailed. Is that clear? So this idea of freedom is behind this poem to make the readers, young readers, understand how freedom is important to us. Even it is important, it is dear to the animals. And then we are human beings. Right? Now here let us read. This poem contrasts a tiger in the zoo with the tiger in its natural habitat. Now there is a difference between the tiger that is kept in the zoo and the tiger that is kept in its natural habitat. The tiger that is kept in the zoo has no freedom, right? He is chained, he is bound, he is confined. But a tiger who is living in his natural habitat, that is completely free, that is enjoying, that is not agonized. The poem moves from the zoo to the jungle and back again to the zoo. Why? To make you understand what is the difference when he says that the difference between a tiger in the zoo and the tiger in its natural habitat, meaning the difference between the freedom and existence with freedom and existence without freedom. Right? Now, you will read the poem silently once. Okay? Make a silent reading of the poem first.
Okay,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay. Could you make out that which stanza depicts tiger in the cage or zoo and which stanza depicts the tiger in the jungle?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let us discuss. See the very first stanza. Yes, where is the tiger?
Tiger in the cage or in zoo.
Right. And the second one?
In the forest.
Okay. And the third one?
In the forest.
Good. The next?
In the zoo.
Okay. And the last?
In the zoo.
In the zoo. Right. Correct. Okay. Now you will understand. You will try to understand each and every line, and in particular the words which have been labeled in yellow, right? Yes. He stalks in his vivid stripes, the few steps of his cage, on pads of velvet quiet, in his quiet rage. Now this has been repeated, quiet. Why it has been repeated? That I will just discuss with you. First, see the first line. He stalks in his vivid stripes. He stalks. Stalks is the movement of the tiger. He walks. He follows. This is a slow movement. He stalks. He moves. He walks slowly. He makes a slow movement. He moves slowly in his vivid, colorful, bright, in his bright, colorful stripes. Why the stripes are colorful? Because they are yellow and brown, right? So this is vivid stripes is referring to the skin of the tiger. The tiger, how you will describe this line, that the tiger who has bright colored skin or bright colored stripes on his skin. With that skin, he walks slowly the few steps of his cage. This depicts where he walks in his cage. The few steps of his cage. Why does he walk a few steps only in the cage? Yes, Anmol?
Ma'am, because cage is congested or fixed place.
Please repeat this.
Ma'am, because cage has a fixed place.
Cage has a fixed place. Cage has a limited space, right? Cage has very limited space. Within that space only, he is restricted to walk. He doesn't have the scope to walk anywhere else. So when we say that he has limited space to walk, what does it mean? It means it very much clearly suggests that the tiger does not have the freedom to move anywhere because he is confined to the cage. So within the cage only he can move, he can walk. Is that clear? Right?
Yes.
Yes. So he takes very few steps. He walks very few steps within his cage because he has got a limited space. You're right that he has got a fixed space. So he has to walk. He can take those few steps or he can walk a little only in that cage. He cannot enjoy the freedom of walking anywhere on pads of velvet quiet. I said he stalks. I said he walks slowly. He walks slowly and quietly. Why quietly? Because he walks noiselessly. How? Pads. Pads are his feet. His feet are soft like a velvet. So his footsteps cannot be heard. The tiger, when he walks quietly because his feet are soft like velvet. So he walks noiselessly. He walks quietly. However, in his quiet rage, however, the tiger is enraged. Rage meaning angry, agonized. The tiger has agony. The tiger is suffering through agony. The tiger is angry. The tiger is not at peace. Why do you think that the tiger is not at peace?
Because he is not happy in this cage.
Right. He is not happy in this cage. Why isn't he happy in the cage?
Ma'am, because the visitors who visit in the zoo because annoying him.
Okay, any other?
He has got no freedom.
Right, this is actually the reason. Okay, so rage depicts that he is not at peace. He is angry. He has agony because he is not happy in the cage. He is helpless because he has lost his freedom while moving in the cage. But at the same time, he is quiet. He is silent. When we say he is quiet, it does not mean that mentally he is quiet. No, mentally he is not. He is stressed. He is anxious. He is angry at the loss of his freedom. When he is angry, meaning he is not at peace. He is not peaceful. He appears to be quiet. He appears to be peaceful, but actually he is not at peace. Now you try to understand this, Anmol. Quiet and rage. These two words, they have the meanings just opposite to each other, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Quiet meaning he is silent, he is appearing silent, but he is not silent mentally because he is angry. And such kind of device in English literature, it is called oxymoron. You should note it down. It is called oxymoron. Fine. So here I'll sum it up again, that the tiger stalks, the tiger walks, the tiger who has bright colored skin and stripes, he walks only a few steps in his cage because he is confined to the cage, because he has got a limited space, a fixed space to walk. He cannot walk beyond that. He walks slowly because he has got paddy feet, which are as soft as velvet. So he walks noiselessly. In this way, in his quiet rage, he appears to be quiet, but Actually, he is not at peace, he is not quiet mentally because he is angry, because he is agonized. He has agony with the thought that he does not have freedom in the cage, because his freedom to move has been curtailed in the cage. I hope it is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So what do we sum up here? What is the conclusion here? That when the freedom is curtailed, one cannot be happy, right? When we don't have the freedom, we can never live a happy life. An animal cannot be happy in confinement. So how can we think a human would be? See that the people, they keep birds as the pets. They keep birds in the cage. Have you ever seen?
Yes, ma'am.
They keep birds in the cage. And the moment the cage is slightly opened, what happens?
Birds flown away.
The bird flies away. The bird is alert all the time. The bird is waiting when this cage is opened that it would fly away. We use a rat trap to trap the rat. Isn't it? Once the rat is trapped, the rat is what? Restless until or unless he gets free from the rat trap. And the moment the rat trap is opened, the rat just gets rid of that trap. So everyone enjoys, everyone wants freedom. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
He should be lurking, on pads of velvet quiet. This is metaphor here. Why metaphor? Because it is indirect comparison. Pads of velvet quiet. The poet has described the pads, the feet of the tiger, that they were as soft as the velvet. Velvet is a cloth. Okay? He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass near the water hole where plump deer pass. Now, the poet is telling the readers, if the tiger had been in the jungle, what would he have been doing? He would have been lurking. Lurking, he would have been hiding himself. He would have been hiding himself behind the long grass. And then his shadow could be sliding, could be seen through the long grass near the water hole, near the water body, near the water pond in the jungle. And why he would hide himself in the behind the grass? Waiting for the deer to pass by. Because he knows that the deers will pass by as there is the water pond, they would come to quench their thirst from the water pond. So he would be hiding himself behind the long grass. His shadow would suggest, his shadow would reflect, would indicate his very much presence behind the grass. And from there, he would wait near the water pond where he knows that the deer will pass. And in this way, he will get his food. I hope it is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Okay. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge. Now here in the second stanza, he says, if he had been in jungle. But now the point here is he is not in jungle. Unfortunately, the tiger is in the cage, right? Now in the jungle, he has the full freedom to hide himself behind the grass or to pounce on the deer. But in the cage, he does not enjoy this freedom. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge. If he had been in the jungle, then On the outskirts of the jungle, there are houses. The outskirts of the jungle are surrounded by the houses, and he should be snarling around houses. Snarling is making angry voice, angry sound. This is what we can say. If he had been in the jungle, he would have been roaring. He would have been roaring at the border of the jungle, on the outskirts of the jungle, to find the residents living in the houses nearby. Why he would roar? Bearing his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. Why he would roar? To terrorize, to frighten the villagers, to frighten the residents of those houses. He would snarl, he would snow, he would roar, he would bare his white fangs. He would bare, he would uncover, he would show, he would reveal, he would display his white fangs. Fangs are yes, fangs are
Ma'am, root of the tooth.
yes, here you can say white teeth, right? Pointed teeth of the tiger. He would be showing, he would be displaying his white teeth and his claws. Why? To frighten the villagers. But now he is in the cage. In the cage, he cannot frighten anyone, the visitors or the villagers or the people around who are thronging there to see him. They know that they are safe because the tiger has been put behind the bars. The tiger has been put in the cage. Is that clear? So when it says that he would, if he had been in the jungle, he would have been trying to frighten the villagers. It means now he cannot frighten the villagers. So it means that he is not happy being in the cage. Had he been in the jungle, he would have been happy because he would have enjoyed all his freedom to roar, freedom to frighten the villagers. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
But he is locked in a concrete cell. His strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. But he is locked in a concrete cell. He would have got freedom if he had been in the jungle, hiding behind the long grass, waiting for the deer to pass. If he had been in the jungle, he would have been waiting for the deer. But in the cage or in the zoo, what it is, whatever the food is served to him by the forest guards, he would have to eat that. So he is not getting even natural food. And similarly, if he had been in jungle, he would have been able to terrorize, to frighten the residents. But unfortunately, he is locked in a concrete cell, right? And he is locked in a concrete cell. Concrete cell meaning?
Ma'am, cages, cage.
In a cage. Cell is actually jail, right? Jail, which is made up of concrete, meaning which is made up of cement and brick. So he is locked in a concrete cell. He is locked in a cage, which has been built for keeping the tiger. And the cage, which appears like a jail. Why that cage would be a jail to him? Because he would lose all his freedom, right? His strength behind bars. His strength meaning his power. What does it mean, his strength behind bars? Since he is confined to the cage, the most fierce animal, he becomes powerless because he cannot do anything. He cannot frighten the people. He cannot terrorize. He cannot haunt them because everyone knows that he has no power as he is, as he has been confined to a cell, as he has been confined to a cage, right? So his strength behind bars, meaning he has become powerless while being in the cage, stalking the length of his cage. Stalking the length of his cage, meaning just walking up and down through the limited space of the cage only, ignoring visitors. So many visitors are thronging at the zoo to see him, but he is not interested in those visitors. Why do you think he would ignore the visitors, or he would not be interested in those visitors?
Ma'am, because has no strength and freedom.
Yes, because he is not happy. That reflects his mental peace. That reflects his mental agony. He has no peace. He is suffering. He is not at peace. So he would just ignore visitors. He is not happy to see so many visitors there. Why? Because the visitors are free. Look at this. Visitors are free, but the poor tiger has been confined to the cage just to entertain the visitors. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Any problem in this stanza?
No, ma'am.
Okay, now the last stanza. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars. He hears the last voice at night. Whose is the last voice at night?
Ma'am, tiger in the zoo.
No. He hears, at night he hears the last voice.
Of patrolling cars.
The last voice at night, okay, the patrolling cars, fine. He hears the last voice, the last sound, the last noise of the cars that are patrolling outside the zoo, right? Or it could be the sound of the watchman, the security man, who in the cars is patrolling at night. And then he stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. He is so helpless that he cannot do anything. So what he does, he just looks at twinkling stars with his brilliant eyes, with his twinkling eyes, but he is not happy. He just dreams. He just dreams of the freedom when he looks at the sky, that he would be as free as this open sky. Right? Brilliant eyes, twinkling eyes. Brilliant stars, twinkling stars. But when he is looking at the twinkling stars, he is not happy, he is helpless. But he looks at them, that gives him hope. Hope to get free of confinement. Hope to get free from this cage. Hope to get freedom. You see that what it is? Nelson Mandela has talked about the blacks, how they had been treated as slaves by the whites, right? So when you don't have freedom, you are like a slave. So the tiger had felt like being enslaved when the tiger had no freedom, because tiger did not have his own freedom to move, to eat, to express. Whatever minimum resources were there around him, he could use them. So the person who doesn't have freedom always hopes that one day I will just get rid, I will escape these hurdles and I will become free. So same is the mental state of the tiger, that the tiger is also hopeful that he would get freedom. He would get free from the confinement of the cage or the zoo. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. Okay, any doubt anywhere?
No, ma'am.
Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now let us see the poetic devices. Okay. In the first stanza, we have discussed two poetic devices. One is metaphor. Where is metaphor?
On pads of velvet white.
Right. And then we have discussed oxymoron. Where is oxymoron?
In his quiet range.
Quiet.
Quiet.
Quiet. Right, Anmol? Many children make this error. Q-U-I-T-E is quiet. But Q-U-I-E-T is quiet. The teacher says, keep quiet. Keep quiet is wrong. Keep quiet. I sat quietly. I'm quite fine. Now you see the difference? Okay? Yes. Do you find any other poetic device in the first stanza?
No, ma'am.
No, there is one. See carefully. Quiet. Quiet has been repeated. So what is it? It is repetition. Right? This is the repetition. Okay? Yes. Now he should be lurking. He stalks in vivid stripes. We can call it imagery. Okay? Yes. In the second stanza,
Ma'am, he should be lurking in shadow, maybe imaginary.
it is imagery, right? It is imagery. Yes, what else?
Ma'am, one rhyming scheme, grass and pass.
Grass and pass is what?
Ma'am, rhyming scheme.
Yes, rhyming scheme is there. Which rhyming scheme is there?
A, B, C, B.
Shadow. A, B, C,
B.
B. Yes, A, B, C, B. Fine. Do you find any other?
Ma'am, no.
Yes, that's right. There is no other.
Ma'am, maybe. Ma'am, metaphor, water hole.
Near the water hole, no. This is not metaphor. Water hole is for the water body. Right? Yes, come to the next. In the third stanza, you say there is no this thing. Okay. Though I find snarling as onomatopoeia. But I don't know whether onomatopoeia has been taught to you or not.
No, ma'am.
Onomatopoeia is the sound word. Just as oxymoron is opposite to each other, it's a figure of speech. Similarly, onomatopoeia. You should note down the spellings of onomatopoeia. Will you?
Yes, ma'am.
Onomatopoeia. Yes, you repeat now.
Ma'am, wait.
Yes. Shall I repeat?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I will just fragment the word and you will spell it. Onomatopoeia.
Yes.
P, which is some people also pronounce it as poia.
Okay, shall I?
Yes, yes.
ONOMEA.
MAT.
Okay. MATOPI.
OPO.
I know more. Okay. And ma'am, next one is Oxymoron.
No. POEIA. I repeat, now you just check carefully, okay? ONOMAT. Just a minute, let me see if I can write here. Yes, I can write here, I think. Okay, now you will note it down. All right?
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
clear? Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Onomatopoeia. Fine? Yes.
And Oxymoron is one of.
Oxymoron also you want me to write here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, no problem. Here. Oxymoron. Fine? This is oxymoron, quiet rage. Snarling is onomatopoeia.
Yes,
Fine?
ma'am.
How would you pronounce this?
Onomatopoeia.
Ono. It's not onomato, no. Onomatopoeia.
Onomatopoeia.
Right. Once again.
Onomatopoeia.
No. Onomatopoeia. Right? Okay. Let's go to the next. Yes, is locked in a concrete cell. In this very stanza.
A metaphor, concrete cell, cage.
Concrete cell is not a metaphor. Cell means a cage. Right? But yes, concrete cell is a poetic device. Which poetic device is this? Concrete cell. Isn't it alliteration?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So you must write here. Alliteration. Okay? Yes. Now the last one. In the last one, if you find any.
No, ma'am.
Sure. Okay, that's fine. Now here one particular poetic device which you have missed and which you will find in every stanza. What is it? The poet is describing, referring to the tiger as he stalks, he should be, he is locked, his strength, he hears. So which poetic device is this? Tiger is an animal, but the poet is referring to the tiger as he, his. Yes, and more, what does it mean?
I can't remember the name of poetic device, but I know.
You know this? Okay, you just explain. Then you will get close to it.
That means we are comparing an animal or think with human.
Very good. Very right. If I say that we are comparing an animal to a person. Now, can you get it? You have very rightly understood. But just think of that name. Poetic device. Personification.
Yes.
Right. Personification. Because a tiger has been described as a person. Is that clear?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
all these, what you call it, poetic devices, you must remember. Fine. So for tomorrow, you please, you will put in the forum what you want tomorrow or the next week. Okay. So that I come prepared accordingly. Fine.